Hey everybody, I'm going to remake the session 5 video for web design because I just came in and did some just some updates and some clarifications. I haven't changed any requirements or anything like that. I've provided more resources is really all I've done. But if you came in and you saw it during the first day it was unveiled on October 5th, and then you come back any day after that, you'll find that it looks different. So let me go ahead and just redo the walkthrough. And make sure you check out the course plan. If you look at the course plan, you'll see that session 5 is a 2-week session, and we have one assignment that you're going to work on called Project Plan. So let's go click to the right, see what we have next. Okay, so we have this page, the final project in this course. I added a few extra things to it since maybe the last time you saw it. You can read the About section. It kind of talks about all the different assignments we've done so far that relate to the final project. Well, we've done one of them so far. We're on the second one now, the project plan. Don't forget about the project matrix. That's where you guys are going to post these various steps along your path towards making your final website. Check out the expectations for the final website that you will build. Those have remained the same. I haven't changed anything about that. I did add recently, but you may have seen it already, but some key readings on website planning and processes. So I think it's the last 2 chapters of the Duckett textbook, 18 and 19, have some good readings, especially chapter 18 on process and design. You'll notice that a lot of what they recommend is some of the activities that you guys are doing in this course as well. Some of the practices. You're not doing everything. So anyway, if there's something else you want to do from Duckett, go for that. Go for it too. Do that also. I did add to this next section on deciding on your website platform. So in this class, we did some HTML text coding, plain text coding, and a little bit of CSS. And we did a number of other little activities related to working with raw HTML files. So some of our other assignments had some experiences with that. But still, we really barely scratched the surface, partly because we don't have time to do actual intense coding. This is not a coding class. If it were, we would never talk about anything other than HTML and CSS and technical specifications. In a way, the class would be much easier to design if we didn't have to visit other topics like multimedia learning principles. If we didn't have to think about instruction, so there's other things. If you go look at the course objectives, there's a lot of expectations that have nothing to do with, honestly, almost with technology. But so we've done a little bit of HTML and CSS stuff, and if you want to continue with that, if you want to continue with that technical route of building a website, you could use a code editor like Brackets or other code editors, and you can use your UWG WebSpace to create and then publish a website. So a 3-page, three or more page website. You put it all into one folder as you're building it, and all your assets in that folder, your images, all that kind of stuff. And you can try to build it that way if you want. Try to design on it. If you want to get some help though with the CSS piece especially, there are some frameworks out there that you can use, and I have used none of them except for I went a couple of weeks ago and played around with Pure CSS. I downloaded one of their packages, I guess, for a website template, and it was really cool. And like I may have said in another video, I want to go back and actually take that and maybe use it for my personal website. So I really like the Pure CSS website. But Bootstrap, Foundation, and Pure CSS are 3 highly recommended sites for frameworks. Honestly, I don't deal with this kind of thing, so I don't even know exactly how a framework is used, except that I think that what it does is it gives you a structure in which to operate, and then you can go tweak things in terms of your design. So again, Pure CSS worked that way. I was able to figure out the framework tool that I downloaded with that, how I would turn that into my own website. But if you go this route, you are an explorer, you're self-teaching, and you're taking a risk that you won't make a pretty website. And that's okay with me. I don't really care if your website's pretty. I mean, design is really, really important, But at the same time, if you're pushing yourself and you're just trying to learn about the technology, you're allowed to make that decision. And I don't think that we have any criteria that are really about the beauty. I mean, you can do all of these things up in the expectations for the website and still not have the most attractive website. So, so yeah, if you want to push yourself with the technology, just keep going and try one of those frameworks. Again, I liked Pure CSS a lot, but Bootstrap is like super popular. I've heard of it a million times and never used it. Foundation is also super popular. Don't know how it works. So you'd have to actually, explore. And then you have a number of other options. I haven't changed anything there, so I'm not going to talk anymore about that. All right, so quickly moving on then to drafting your project plan. There are two pieces. One is the narrative project plan. You're going to take a Google Doc. You're going to make a copy of it. And you're also going to, this is like the hardest part of this whole class, amazingly, is making the Google Doc accessible in the appropriate way. So anyway, you're going to fill out your copy of my Google Doc that I provide for the Part 1 narrative project plan. And you're going to link to it. You're going to link your copy, so you're going to take the link to your copy and put it on the final project matrix. Don't make it a descriptive link or using clear link text. Don't just paste the raw URL. And then again, the hardest part of this entire class, the part where there's more mess ups than anything else, is just making the Google Doc appropriately accessible. So what I've done is at the very bottom of the page, I've created an appendix. And in that appendix, you can see how to make sure your narrative project plan is publicly accessible. And if you're using a UWG Google account, when you pull my document in and you make a copy, if you're in your UWG Google Drive, there's one way to make it publicly accessible, because we are in an organizational Google system, so there's more steps to making it publicly accessible. If you're pulling my narrative document into your Google Drive that is not a UWG hosted Google Drive account, then you have just 3 steps for making it accessible. It's like 7 steps if you're using the UWG account, so that's the one where the most mess ups happen, versus 3 if you're using a non-UWG. But go for the UWG one if you want. Don't let the 7 steps scare you away. Just learn how to do it. You just have to be very careful when you read about the settings. And what I want it to be is that I want people to be able to comment in the margin of your document. Commenting does not mean they can edit the page. They can just make comments off to the side. All right. So, and I also talked to you about how you can test to make sure that it works. Basically, you log out of your browser, out of any Google accounts you have, and you try to open your own document on the final project matrix. And if you can't open it and make a comment in the margin while not logged in, can't be logged in, then you have a problem. Go back down and slow down and get it done right. Please, I don't want to have a back and forth with you guys about how your document is not appropriately set up. This is really important to me that I don't have to talk to you about it, because I made such, I think, beautiful instructions at the bottom of the page. The second part is a visual project plan, and I went and found an example from the very first time I offered this class. Wes Steverson told me I could use his stuff as an example. So maybe skim down to the PDF file or the Wes S's visual representation of the UCode at UWG website to see an example of what we're doing here in part 2. Basically, you're going to create a visual representation of your website. And so for every web page of your website, you want to indicate purpose, content, resources or assets, and if you're putting external links of any kind that are not part of your website, you need to provide the URL. So this is where you get detailed. This is not a brief plan or visual plan. It needs to be as detailed as you can stand. Write as much of your content, your actual text content, as you can stand onto this visual plan. The more you plan here, the easier the next session becomes. So once you've done these 2 things, and you will post the final project matrix. Once you've done both of these, you can submit the final project matrix Dropbox. That signals to me that you're finished, that I can go check what you've done. You don't have to put anything in that Dropbox because it's all in the final project matrix if you followed all the instructions above. So you can just submit a blank Word document into that Dropbox. Unfortunately, the Dropbox requires you attach something, so that's why you have to attach a blank Word Word document at the very least. If you're finished with your plans and you have more time left over this session, head on into the final project in this course. You know what you're doing. You're building what you just planned. And I don't provide a whole lot more instructions other than what you've already seen. But go ahead and check out the session 6 module anyway. Make sure you read through the instructions. Make sure you don't miss anything. All right, guys, thanks so much and happy planning.